Hi everyone, welcome to Art Club. I'm Miss Liz, and today we are going to be creating these lovely sunflower paintings using a technique called Pointillism. Pointillism is a way to paint that relies on the mixing of colors by placing dots or points close together. This technique, it creates an illusion of a new color, a different look when viewed from far away. So using different color combinations will interact and contribute to the overall vibrancy of our painting. Pointillism was developed in the mid-1880s by George Seurat and Paul Signac. Here are some paintings that you might think look familiar to you. They are both painted using the technique Pointillism. If you look at a Pointillism painting from far away, it looks like any other painting, but the closer you get, you can see the dots. It's hard to believe that these beautiful paintings are layers of different shades and colors of dots. So that is what we're going to be doing today. So let's take a look at these samples again. So here is this one. This one is created using the smaller dots, and the closer that you get to this painting, you will actually see the dots. And then here is the larger one. This was created using Q-tips for a larger, bolder look. So something to keep in mind before you start your project: your time and your patience. Every artist likes to create in their own way. Both of these sizes are pretty. This one with the smaller points took me a long time to create, and this one with the larger points and dots went a little bit faster. So I provided Q-tips in your kit so you can create something like this. If you are the type of artist who likes to speed through things and let your creativity just flow really fast, then this is the way that you want to go. If you're the type of artist who likes to be a little bit more detailed, take your time, then maybe you would like to look around for some items around the house that you can use to make smaller points. So I used a sharpened pencil with a nice sharp tip, and I just put that in the paint and dotted it on. I used the tip of an eraser on a mechanical pencil, and I also had an old paintbrush laying around, and I used the tip of the part that you hold. I did not use the brush, I used the tip. Alright, what decision did you make? Are you going to do the smaller points, or are you going to do the larger ones? I'm going to go ahead for today and use the Q-tip, but maybe I'll throw in some of the finer, smaller tips as we go. We'll just have to see how it goes. Let's go ahead and go over what's inside your kit. You will have a piece of watercolor paper that has the outline of the sunflower. When we get started, I am going to be using a darker one so it's easier for you to see in the video. You're also going to have some paint, yellow, green, brown, and orange, and there's 2 different shades of each one. Then you'll have some Q-tips and a paper plate. As always, I want to remind you that you should open up your paper bag, lay that on your work surface so you don't make a mess on your table. Alright, so before we get started, I am just going to show you a couple of things. I'm going to try to open up this paint. I would just open up one paint color at a time just so it doesn't spill out and make a mess. I'm going to add my darker orange. I'm going to use the Q-tip. I'm going to dump it out onto the paper plate. Okay. So, I'm just going to take my Q-tip, it's got the paint on it, and we're going to dot. So now, if you dot softly, you're going to have some smaller dots. If you dot really hard, you're going to have larger dots. If you do dots really hard like that, you're probably going to need a few more Q-tips. Once this tip starts to get saturated, it's not going to work quite as well, so you're going to want to flip it over, use the other end, grab a new Q-tip, and that kind of thing. I also want to tell you, be careful not to scribble. We're not actually painting like a paintbrush with these tools. We're just going to be dotting on. Also, we want to make sure that you take your time so we don't create lines. So sometimes I think I tend to start creating a line when I'm filling in, but then I go back later and add more to it, like that. Also, consider the size of your dots. The size and spacing of the dots will influence the color and look of your artwork. Smaller dots tend to blend more seamlessly, and larger dots create the texture and bolder look. You also want to leave some space for your other colors because we have 2 shades of each color. So we're going to go back in and fill that in with the other shade. Another thing to think about is you're working and you think it's done, but then you go back and you're like, wait, there's all this space, or there's all this white showing in the background. You can go back and just add more and just start playing around with it a little bit more. When I created this sample, this just took a pretty long time, so I decided to be a little bit creative and use the larger Q-tips for the stem and the leaves, but then I wasn't enjoying that look, so I mixed. I used the Q-tip and the smaller points together and the 2 different colors of paint. Alright, so I'm going to get started, and the first thing that I'm going to work on are these larger petals here. I'm going to start out, I've already got some colors on my paper plate, and I'm going to start with the darker yellow. And I'm just going to get a little bit of paint on there and just start filling in that petal. So you do want to leave some space so that you can come back later with the lighter shade of yellow and fill that in. Now this is a darker version of what you have. I just wanted to make sure that you could see what I was working on, because the one that I gave you is pretty darn light. So feel free to also go right directly on the lines. On mine, you're still going to be able to see the lines through the color, at least with the yellows. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and I am going to fast forward this. So go ahead and keep working on your large petals. Alright, so now I'm going to go back in and I'm going to use the lighter shade of the yellow. Alright, so I'm going to start over here where I first started. Those are a little bit drier, and I'm just going to start filling that in. It's perfectly fine if they touch the darker shade. So you can see, I mentioned earlier that if it gets saturated, it's not going to work as well. I don't know if you can see, mine is starting to get pretty saturated. And I'm going to switch to another Q-tip. Alright, so now I am going to go back to my darker shade of yellow. Add that to my paper plate. And I'm going to be filling in these back petals with the darker shade. So I'm going to work on next the inside of the sunflower. That's where all the seeds are. There we go. And then let me turn this way so it's easier for you to see. When I have this big open spot here, I tend to make a little bit larger dots. I'm pressing down a little bit harder with my Q-tip. Try to take my time and make them not so large. I'm going to leave some spots in here so I can come back in with that darker shade. I'm also going around the circle where I've already gone with the yellow. I think that's going to look pretty nice. And then I'm going to open up the darker shade. And I'm just going to gently add those circles since that other shade of brown is so wet. I don't think it'll matter very much. It may create an even nicer shade when they mix together. Alright, I like that, but now I want to add a little bit more of the darker color. I feel like it looks like more realistic with the sunflower seeds being darker. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm going to add the lighter shade of orange and see how I like that. So then when you're working on this smaller petal, you want to press a little bit lighter so you get more than just a couple of dots in that small area. So I think I'm going to try taking the darker orange and just adding some more of that around the bigger petals, and I've decided I'm going to try it with my tip of my paintbrush just to show you how that works. And I'm just going to follow along on the line. If you don't have something small like this, you do not have to do this. I just want to give you an idea of how it works using the Q-tips and smaller items. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to work on are the petals. So I'm just going to go ahead and dump them both out at the same time since they're in their own little containers, not in that big strip. And I'm going to first start by going around the outline of the petals. So I think I want to go for the same look that we achieved with the sunflower seeds. I want to try to fill in all of that leaf. Start adding in some of that lighter shade. Alright, I'm going to go back and add some more of the darker shade. Alright, that looks pretty good. I'm gonna give it a minute and see. Sometimes when I come back and look, then I can tell, oh wait, I want to add a little bit more of the darker shade. So I think what I'm going to do next is add a little bit more of the different shades of yellow on the larger petals. Start with the lighter color. I think I really need more of the darker, but there's so much white still showing that I'm just going to start with the lighter. Alright, I'm going to add a little bit more of the darker yellow. I can get this open. accidentally dumped it on my lighter yellow, but that's okay. I think that looks pretty good. I don't think I'm going to add anything else. So take a look at yours and see if you want to add anything else. Maybe walk away for a minute and then come back. Alright, so there is my finished painting. This is how it looks from a distance. And then, as with pointillism, when you get closer to the painting, you will be able to see those dots. It's absolutely amazing how that works. So thank you for joining me today. I hope you had a great time with this project, and I hope it inspires you to make more pointillism projects. And if you would like to share your painting with me, please send it to youth@newlennoxlibrary.org. And I hope to see you soon at the library.